Welcome back to the Anfield Edition podcast. My name is Owen, and joining me today we have the usual lot. So it's Ty.
Hi guys.
And we also have Inverter, so say hello.
Hi guys.
These podcasts are released weekly, so follow at Anfield Edition to be notified when they go live. Today we will be discussing our 1-1 draw with Spartak Moscow in what caps off a truly miserable month of September, Champions League chances, and a quick preview for our clash with Newcastle. First of all, let's start with Spartak. It was a game defined by missed chances, with 7 shots on target as we failed to capitalise in what has become a recurring theme in recent weeks. Similar to what we discussed last week, Ty, for once Liverpool haven't been good enough in front of goal. It's quite a surprise to see, given how good we've been since Klopp's come in. But recently, it's just not going our way, is it?
No, it's just another case of deja vu again, wasn't it? I think I've seen a stat the other day. I can't remember the exact numbers now, but a stupid amount of shots in the last 6 games and whatever it was, and we produced 1 or 2 goals, wasn't it?
I have to look that one up because I'm pretty sure I literally looked at it 2 seconds before I
I know.
started the call. Let me just grab it. It was 121 shots, 6 goals.
Yeah,
that was the ESPN stat, of course. It's not good enough. I mean, I think Mane's ban has definitely hampered our chances in the league, but that's not an excuse, obviously, for the Champions League where we've had him available for selection. There.
I mean, I wouldn't be overly worried, obviously, because we're creating the chances. They're gonna go in at some stage, and I did say this before as well. Obviously, Salah is we know he isn't clinical, but at the same time, if you look at his goal scoring record so far this season, then you'd say he's doing well. We know we haven't gone out and out striker in terms of Firmino. He plays as a second striker. He has license to roam all over the place. It'll come for me. Defensively, I know we're saying that we're having problems in front of goal, but in my eyes, it was still a mistake that happened for me. And if Karius saves that, which in my eyes he should, then we win the game 1-0, even though it should have been like 4-5 if you wanted to.
Moving on to that, obviously, what did you think of the keeper rotation, Inverter, and was Karius to blame for not keeping out the free kick, obviously, where Fernando scored the opener?
Yeah, I think he was to blame. And I say, it's not the first time he's done something like that. I remember when we played West Ham when Pius was still there, he had the free kick 30 yards out, just horrific position from beforehand, before he even took the free kick, and he just leaves him with too much work. Leave himself with too much work to do at that point. So, I'm not quite sure why he does that. But,
it's one we've seen before. I mean, obviously it was quite close to goal. I think it was 24 metres, something like that. But he's just far too left. I think everyone would have agreed. I think you're better off taking a more central position there, because it's unlikely he's going to go for that left corner. It was one that was naturally going to go into that top right. And I can remember I was sat in the pub with all my mates and we were like, this is definitely going in. And they were like, no,
I
no
just
way.
heard the commentators go, there's 3 Brazilians around the ball. And I was like, yeah, this is going in.
I think a lot of Liverpool fans could see it coming. I mean, it's typical. For the club we support to, you can pretty much call when something's going to go wrong. I think Chan was the one that gave the ball away initially, wasn't it? He was dribbling, I think it was around the middle of the park, and then he's just played sort of a blind pass backwards. I think he received quite a lot of criticism on Twitter, at least, for his performance. Do you think that was justified, Inverter? I know you're quite a big fan of him, of course. Do you think, he did have a bad game? Is it a one-off, or is it something,
Yeah, favouritism aside, I don't think he had quite a poor game. Don't think anyone can say that. He played well in that game. To be honest, obviously gave the ball away a few times and weren't really involved too much overall. But also the other players, I think Merino was quite surprised. Well, not a surprise now, I suppose, that he's played well in a few games. But most of the chances were created on that left side with Coutinho and himself mainly. And obviously Mane early on in the game. One of his 3 balls was really good. I think Firmino was quite an easy chance after it. Salah was quite involved in the game as always, but obviously at the end of the game he missed that quite easy chance, you could say. But then again, so did Firmino. Basically, the front.
Do you even think it was a free kick? It won a free kick for me, because I'm sure the foul was given against Coutinho, wasn't he?
Was that when he sort of clipped
he clipped the ball? He clipped the ball over, and they both kind of hit the ball at the same time. The player went down. It didn't look like a free kick in my eyes at all. It was soft, very soft.
I was gonna say I can't remember the decision perfectly well, to be honest. But I mean, if that's the case, we can't really say like there's been an agenda or anything. Obviously, I've seen quite a lot of referees get like that, given it like get a lot of criticism this season. I think it's becoming a more and more prevalent issue within the game. Obviously, refereeing decisions being criticised, but I think the fact that Karius hasn't gone and saved it when it was a shot that really should have been saved, and given the fact that was their only chance in the game, I don't think we've really got room to complain. I think we should have put our chances away and we should have come away easy winners on that.
Should have been.
Yeah. Speaking about Coutinho, he was impressive once again. Obviously, he looked creative in front of goal, and obviously walloped in that equaliser. He absolutely smashed that one into the back of the net. But I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on his reintegration into the side, Ty, and what you thought genuinely of his performance on the night.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's anything unexpected, to be honest with you. I know there was kind of talk of him having a bad attitude coming back in because he didn't get his move and everything, but I didn't see it right from the get-go. It's a World Cup year. He had no choice. He has to perform really just for his own good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel myself getting. I loved him to bits. I don't feel myself getting as excited about him anymore just because of what happened this season. Doesn't not take anything away from his talent. Obviously, if he has a brilliant season for us, great. But it's going to be a means to an end. He'll end up going eventually. He just left a little bit of a sour taste for me, the way he's gone about things. But yeah, he's come in as expected. It took him a couple of games just to get up to sharpness, I think. He looked a little bit sluggish in the first game. I think it was when he came on against Sevilla, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Looked like he was trying a little bit too hard, shooting from distance. It was the same again in the which game was it? Burnley, was it?
Yeah.
After that, he had about 7 shots, 6 of them from outside the area. So he was always trying for it, and obviously then eventually it came then with that free kick against Leicester. So brilliant, nice return for him. He can really push on and get better now. He'll have more and more influence in the games coming from deep as well. I like him in central midfield, to be honest with you. I think it works really well there.
I was going to say I couldn't agree more. I think the central position's so important. I think he's been played, wasn't it, out? Was he wide left against Leicester? Obviously, apart from that, apart from obviously the free kick and a few other dribbles, I don't think he was as involved, like creating chances wise from out wide. I think we've seen him a lot more efficient through the centre, and I think this is coming off a week where Klopp sort of praised the fans, for taking him back in almost, the way he sort of did hand in that transfer request. You thought he'd lose out a lot of the fans' faith, but I think he has, the fans have taken to him well. I think obviously he's got that celebration against Leicester. I think that obviously won a few fans over there, but I think as long as he keeps scoring, nobody's really going to care, are they, Inverter?
No, I don't think we should either, to be honest. He's a Liverpool player for this season, and we all want to do well this season, don't we? And if he's scoring the goal, it means that we're doing even better. Obviously, he's got us a point away in the Champions League. He's sort of got things started at Leicester, didn't he? Great player, and in the last 2 games, he sort of be more composed after that initial sort of high blood pressure he might have had after the substitutions against Burnley and so on. But yeah, I think it was at the Sevilla game, and other than a few idiots, I think he got a really good reception. Everyone was clapping him. Obviously, no songs. Not at that point, we haven't rebuilt the relationship to that point. But, I can see the sort of good relationship with the fans coming back eventually, especially at Anfield, because if he just came on, he's got like pretty loud round of applause, a few more goals, and I think the cop will be singing his name.
Yeah, we've had those 2 away games, obviously, where he's picked up the back-to-back goals there. Apart from Coutinho, were there any other players that played well? And also on the flip side, obviously, we saw Emre Can and Firmino get a lot of criticism on Twitter. Just rounding up those performances, Inverter, could you pick out one player you think was particularly poor and one that played particularly well, possibly?
Well, starts off good. I'm going to pick 2 actually, because 2 are quite impressive. I think Lovren surprised me quite a bit. He was quite a wall in that game. A few tackles, I'm sure, clearances as well. Sort of allowed Mata to be more free, and it all sort of, we saw his vintage runs where he bombs down the middle of the pitch and finds a good pass. I think that's good if Lovren sort of maintains that sort of ability. I think Matip's actually a great threat to have from that sort of position, because we've got Henderson just in front of him, who's got a brilliant pass on him, but I think sometimes it's a bit hesitant to attack from these positions, sort of like penetrate through the midfields and so on. But yeah, the second player is Henderson. A few good crosses in the game. Should have 2 assists probably. So yeah, and then right, bad. I'm gonna say Firmino.
Yeah.
No one else is there. Yeah, I think three really easy chances that he missed in that game. So that's not good from the striker. I mean, we were having a discussion before. Do we need that natural number 9? Because sometimes it is quite clear that he's not naturally a number 9 when he's missing these chances. And I get that he presses and so on, but you've got to ask the question. What do you think?
Yeah, the question I was just about to go on to. I mean, the lack of goals per shots, it's raised a definite debate amongst Liverpool fans as to whether we need that out-and-out striker up front, especially looking at our rivals. Obviously, we've seen Morata do really well this season. Lukaku's been brilliant. Aguero, Jesus, you look at all these teams where players have the ability of going past 20 goals and 25 goals, where Firmino's obviously, lagged behind in that department. I would personally advocate for, going out and really making a statement in January, buying a striker, turn those draws into wins. It's something that United struggled with last season. Even with Ibrahimovic up front, they still struggled to get those goals, and I think Lukaku's changed them massively. Morata's been an improvement on Costa. Lacazette was someone that Arsenal needed as well. What's your opinion, Ty, on that as well? Like, would you be welcome to us going in January, splashing the cash, maybe getting out a big striker, and like, who would you look to in that department as well?
Yeah, well, I was one of the ones saying, when there were stories about Aubameyang almost signing for Man City, obviously that didn't happen in the end, and they come out and they put a price tag on his head, didn't they? Which I don't think was totally out there either. I think he was more than capable of. We get him for a decent price, to be fair, with all the stupid money which is going around in the summer.
70 million it was, wasn't it? So
yeah, exactly. £70 million for Aubameyang, for a player who can scores goals for fun in Germany. I would have snapped your hand off for that. But I just think the whole thing with this, Firmino thing at the moment, I think it's just more noticeable just because we haven't been clinical in front of goal. If you have a look at the games that we have played and we've dominated in the amount of shots and the shots on target, comfortably we could have put 3 or 4 past Leicester twice. Burnley was ridiculous. There should have been another 3 or 4 goals in that game. Sevilla we battered. We missed a penalty in that game. The Spartak, again, it should have been a drubbing with the chances we've missed. So I don't think we'd be even asking the question had we scored the goals, which were on another day would have been 3 or 4 goals up, easily. I think we would have really built on the Arsenal game. And, no one was saying it then when we put 4 past Arsenal with ease, and you've seen them all chipping in, Firmino, Mane, Salah, and everything. We wouldn't be having this conversation now. It's only when this happens. Obviously, it's happened quite early on in the season, and like you said already, you've already touched on it. Everyone's improved their front line. Arsenal, Lacazette, and Morata, Chelsea, etc., etc. I think we need one just to compete in terms of we need a 30 goals a season striker, which we haven't got. Going back a couple of seasons ago, when we had Suarez, we haven't replaced him like for like. I think we're the only team in like the top 6 who you expect to be challenging and up there, there or thereabouts, who don't play with an out-and-out striker. Mm-hmm. So when these lulls happen, or when we're not being clinical and we can't rely on Mane and Salah to produce the goods every single game, then it's going to be an easy thing to target, isn't it? That we haven't got a true number 9. If Aubameyang become available in January, 100% I'd go for it. I think we need to strengthen our squad anyway because we failed to do that in the summer. So if you're having options like Aubameyang, Firmino, Sturridge, Salah, Coutinho, again, then you've got so many different avenues you can go with if plan A isn't quite coming off.
Yeah, I think a lot of people may criticise loaning out Origi. I think in this game in particular, maybe we could have done with a bit more physical presence up front. I noticed in the game, obviously, there's a lot of crosses being put in, I think, from Salah and Mane out wide. Not into anyone in particular, really, because Firmino's not going to beat the Shakhtar defenders in the air. I think I can't remember the name of their centre backs, but they were both big, tall players, both like over 6 foot, and you're thinking if you've got a Firmino in there who thrives off of 1-2s, quick interchanging play, he's not gonna benefit from crosses, and I think that's maybe where someone like Origi or any other striker in Europe, a bit more physical presence would have helped. Obviously Morata's scored I think like 3 or 4 headers this season. I think a lot of people were making that comparison as well, saying obviously the fact that when you go to these teams away that are going to just play robust and resolute defending, they're going to stick men behind the ball and they're going to crowd that box, and you're really going to struggle to do those quick 1-2s because you won't have the space, and that's why they've resorted to crossing, and it wasn't effective against Spartak to say the least. Just moving on, obviously looking at our Champions League group now, that's 2 points from our first 2 Champions League games. Is that disappointing or is that satisfactory, Inverter?
I'd say it's quite disappointing. If you look at Spartak, it really is a team that we should be playing, not to mention that the best player, and allegedly around half the team, was injured. Obviously, they've got Promes, is it? I think Promes plays there. Yeah. Promes is sort of their main guy, and he weren't playing. So with Promes, we would have been under even more threat, and who knows, the game could have went their way, which is why just also lack of clinicalness, if that's a word. And
I think we should have beat Sevilla as well. I think the amount of chances we had there as well, we should be looking at maximum points from those 2 games given how we've played. But obviously that's something we've struggled definitely with in September, is performances not turning into results. How would you look to turn that one around, Ty? Is it down to the strikers, or is it a leaky defence like we've had, or is it just a bit of both, or bad luck? I mean, there's so many different. Yeah.
Klopp has come out and a lot the last few weeks and said how unlucky we've been, and I've got to agree with him to an extent. I said to pick out a few scenarios that happened. You got the Watford game, their 3-3, their 3rd goal was offside. Against Burnley, I think Solanke hit the bar. So you're talking inches. Sevilla, we missed a penalty. There's been so many situations in each game where we could say, right, if that goes in, then that's another 3 points. If that goes in, that's 3 points. And it's just been, normally these games and these situations space themselves out over the course of a season. I think ours we have been very, very unlucky in such a short amount of time. And obviously on top of that, we're making mistakes at the back. It wouldn't be so bad if we were, we wouldn't be as clinical in front of goal if you can shut up shop and, you're just doing the basic things right. But so many individual mistakes are occurring at the moment, then obviously it becomes magnified then times 10 when obviously your striker's not putting the ball in the net. Mm-hmm. But I think if we do the basics right and Karius doesn't make a mistake, like I said earlier, we win that game 1-0, and then you're just coming away from the game saying should have been 4, should have been 5, instead of saying right, we've got 2 points now of a possible 6 against opponents that we absolutely battered in both games.
Yeah. So about Karius, what you think? Because personally I think it's quite a stupid decision to sort of not play your first choice keeper in the Champions League, which is the toughest competition of all. Yeah. If Klopp wants to rotate the goalkeepers, surely he should play the same goalkeeper for the Premier League and Champions League, and sort of maybe let the second keeper have a few runs in the cups. I think 3 keepers is just a bit bizarre, really, as well. We've never really seen 3 keepers being played, so just thinking that.
The issue is, I think Klopp sees Karius as slightly too good to be a number 2, which is why he's trying to give him some more game time. And obviously on his reputation, he was one of the best keepers in Germany, so he was brought in as number 1, and Klopp made that very, very clear. I just think Klopp's trying to kind of force him into that position, and it's not happening, because every time he comes in, he's making a mistake. He's either looked very, very unsure with the ball at his feet, or we've seen his position has been terrible. In my opinion, I don't think he's quite ready, and what I would have done is kept Ward and sent Karius on loan instead. I would have given Karius to Huddersfield or whatever, because they wanted Ward back anyway. So I think we should have said, right, you have Karius then. As another great goalkeeper from Germany. Wagner would have known him anyway from his time there. And kept Ward. And then give Ward the cup games, FA Cup, League Cup and everything. But I agree with what Inverter just said. Definitely should be playing your number 1 keeper in the Champions League. I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I spoke to someone at work today actually, and they said, well, what's the point in rotating it? All you're doing is creating uncertainty at the back. You need a solid unit of 5, and I think that's something we've been susceptible to this season, maybe too much rotation at the back. We haven't had a settled back 4 all season. If you ask me to name our best back four out of the players we have available, I'd probably struggle. Given the bit of uncertainty we've had, obviously Lovren and Matip, as our best centre back duo, but Robertson and Moreno have constantly been rotated. Trent and Gomez on the other side. I think we've actually been quick to judge how the Klein's absence. I think that's been important to us as well. He's someone that doesn't go out and give 9s and 10 performances, but he's a solid 7 every single week for us. And I think we've definitely missed someone at the back that does provide that consistency. What do you think on that, Ty? Do you reckon that he's been a miss that's sort of gone under the radar?
Yeah, I mean, I like Klein because exactly what you just said. I couldn't put it better myself. He's a kind of a solid 7 every single game, isn't he? I don't think he's exciting to watch going forward. He doesn't really give you anything going forward. He won't really beat a man. He'll put the odd decent cross in, but that's about as much as you're going to get from him. So, in terms of the future, Trent probably is there. In my eyes, he's not quite ready yet. But you can see, glimpses of him going forward and, a couple of step overs, beating a man. Brilliant going forward, but his inexperience is showing at the moment. For me, is obviously highlighted his absence. And obviously there's a few rumours of why he's out, whether it's an injury. And I've seen a few things on social media saying that it was hinting towards a failed drug test internally, apparently. So it's being dealt with that way. Do you remember when the Berahino thing happened as well? That was covered up, wasn't it, for a while?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Obviously, I'm completely speculating. I haven't got any inside information like one of our guys, Zach.
In the know.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, we are missing Kleiny at the moment, but the whole rotation thing for me is happening too early on. I understand him wanting to keep players fresh for 4 competitions. Obviously, one we're already out of now. But it's far too early. Why you rotating players 2, 3, 4 games into the season? It doesn't make sense to me. Keep your solid, especially at the back. Keep a solid back 5 there. Let them build up a rapport. Let them build up their communication between one another. And then obviously you want things to improve from there. But at the moment you've got so many different partnerships happening with Klavan and Matip and Klavan and Lovren and Matip. We've been all over the place. So I just think he needs to kind of leave her alone and maybe 2, 3, rotated players in for the cup games.
Yeah. Recently, he sort of established this back 3 at least. I think Moreno's sort of the first choice now. Yeah. Just going off what he's been saying in presses, saying that Moreno's simply too good to be dropped despite Robertson's great performances. Obviously, Lovren and Matip, and then I think there's still a bit of uncertainty around Trent and Gomez. Obviously, with the suspensions and so on, and maybe it makes it appear like he hasn't quite decided on that. But I think the back line is Trent, Lovren, Matip, Moreno now. That'd be my prediction. Just going off the last few games, because at the start of the season, maybe he was genuinely just seeing what works, how in actual games. Because in training, you can only see so much. So it's good to see it in a game, I suppose. And maybe he's made this decision now, but we'll see next week.
But you'd bring Kleiny straight back in instead of Trent?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not a fan of just an experience of Gomez and Trent. At times they look good. Gomez, he had that good cross in one of the Premier League games where he done that before. Trent goes on these dribbles, doesn't he?
Yeah.
20, 30 yards, but Trent especially gets caught out too much. He sort of forgets himself. He's like Moreno when he first joined.
Yeah.
So definitely wouldn't start there with Klein back. I do think we're starting to miss Klein. It's certainly coming through now initially. Trent scored that free kick, everyone was like, oh yeah, let's forget about Klein, we don't need him anymore. But now after a few games, I think it's clicked in everyone's minds that we do actually need him. We do need that consistent 7 out of 10 performance.
Yeah, looking ahead to the Newcastle game, speaking of rotation as well, is it time for Klopp to just go full strength? I mean, we do need these to string together some wins, I thought, in the Premier League, given the recent form. Obviously, last time out we did beat Leicester 3-2, and it was quite a close game in the end. Obviously, Mignolet saving that penalty as well. I mean, I'd advocate for going full strength. Same team we played against Spartak. Get the confidence back up, because I think they know that they could have beat Spartak on the day, and the amount of chances made. I would literally just stick with the same team, going straight into Newcastle. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts, Inverter, on whether we do rotate that side.
No, as you say, I think we need to start winning games, start closing the gap between the top teams. Obviously, I think 5-6 points ahead of us now. So a win's necessary, definitely, against Newcastle. Even promoted team, probably be bottom 5 in the league. So we do have to be looking to beat them. I don't think we can sort of underestimate them. On the other hand, so full strength would be great, and I think we'll give Klopp credit for his overall tactical setup, because at the end of the day, if we're creating all these chances, that he can only do so much. But then it's up to the players to actually finish the chances off. So I think he's setting them up really well. Obviously, a few crosses, isn't there? There's a few 1-2s. It's a good mixture overall. The only problem we'll say, as we said before, is that when we've got these crosses coming in, our players don't seem to sort of capitalise on them. We had Salah, Firmino, just as a recent example on Tuesday against Spartak. And look forward to see the front four again, despite the 1-1 draw. I think they were quite bright. That left side was looking great with Moreno, Coutinho, Mane all within a close proximity. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. I'm not sure who Newcastle got on the right. I think it might be that Neon, if I'm right.
It'd be what they'll have down the right. They'll have Yedlin and Richie. Down the left, they'll probably have what is it? I've forgotten his name. He's a centre. No, they'll have left side. They'll have Atsu. They have Perez down the middle, and they have Richie on the right. I'm trying to think of their left back now. He's a centre. It's Kieran Clark, I think. Their left back. So he's actually a centre back playing there. Benitez, that's the side he put out last week. So I did coverage for the Brighton Newcastle game, and yeah, I think they did look quite vulnerable from the wings. I think Brighton looked to utilise that a lot, actually. They had tons of crosses going into that Newcastle box in the first half, I remember. So, I mean, a huge bonus will be the return of Mane, obviously, to the Premier League side. You know, he's served that ban now, so we will be able to select him once again. So we'll have Mane, Salah, Firmino back in that team, and Coutinho obviously behind them. It'll be nice to see that in the Premier League. How much have we missed him, you know, in recent weeks in the Premier League? We haven't had, you know, the best results, obviously, following the City game. Was it the draw with, who did we draw with? Was it Palace after City, or am I thinking of it the wrong way around?
Burnley,
and then it was...
Two games against Leicester.
Leicester.
Won the second.
Yeah, what was the other game Mane was banned for, though, in the Premier League?
It's Danfield, isn't it?
What, did it count?
It was one cup games, and then the 2 league games, yeah. So it's a domestic ban.
Oh, okay, yeah. Got you now. Yeah, I thought it was 3 Premier League games then, because you know what I've been like with work on Saturday. I've missed pretty much so much Liverpool, but you know
don't make excuses, pal. You're the host.
Come on,
you're our host.
Yeah,
sort your life out.
Yeah, well I have now. You know, I'm not working weekends anymore, so I should be sorted. Get to watch this one at least. It should be good.
I think it's time to give Zach a go as host.
Listening. Give us a DM.
Yeah, we're rotating you, Owen. We're going to do a little bit of Klopp rotation, all right?
Mares out. Yeah, so Mane, obviously, it'll be great to see him back in. You know, he was amongst the goals at the start of the season. How important is his returning to that Premier League team, Ty?
Yeah, we know how important he's become now. It's a funny one, isn't it? Because remember when he first arrived, people were kind of raising their eyebrows at the 34 million spent on him, and now, arguably, along with Coutinho, he's our most talented player, and we've become a little bit reliant on him, and you can see that now in his absence. We're saying, where's Mane? And look at the difference without Mane there. So, yeah, he's huge for us. But for me, against Newcastle, you're saying would you go with the same side? I thought, in my opinion, Firmino looked a little bit leggy. So if I was going to rotate anyone in, it would be Sturridge coming in for Firmino briefly, just to give him a little bit of a breather. I think with other players, we're just rotating them just for rotation's sake, to be honest with you. The only person I would, take out of the team is Firmino. Not just because he missed a few sitters, but just because he did actually look quite tired after the first 45 minutes against Spartak. I think... Sturridge was introduced a little bit too late. He should have come on 55, 60 minutes, in my opinion. Just give him a little bit more time. I think taking Mane off instead was a bit of a funny one for me, because I think he was looking sharp. I know he wasn't having his best game, but he was always involved and he was always giving the fullback a problem. So, having Mane, up to full, quota up front again is going to be brilliant. We need it. Just we need us to be a little bit more clinical, even more, obviously, right now.
Yeah, finally, let's get a prediction from both of you. Ty, your 2-1 prediction against Leicester meant that you got a correct result, technically, obviously, because they won 3-2 in the end. You also said Coutinho to score as well, so I don't know whether to give you an extra point for that, whether I feel generous or not.
No, I'll just have the point for the result, but not the scoreline.
Yeah, I mean, it shows we know nothing about football if it's taken us that long to actually get someone to score a point this season. But yeah, so you've got your 1 point there, which gives me and Inverter all the more incentive to get this week right. Inverter, if you want to kick things off with your prediction for the game against Newcastle, go ahead.
I'll go 2-0 Liverpool.
Oh, clean sheet, yeah?
Yeah.
Go on, Ty.
Everyone's looking great.
I'm going to say, I've always got my Liverpool tinted glasses on, haven't I? Every single week I've predicted to win every single game. I'm going to go 3-0. I'm going to back a clean sheet as well. I'm going to follow Inverter and go clean sheet. Comfortable 3-0 win. Finally starting to put some goals away.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to go with a... It was either going to go 2-1 or 1-0, but I think I might go 1-0. Clean sheet. Like Inverter said, Lovren is the best defender in the world. He didn't. Just to clarify, he didn't say that because you could just see the flame coming for that. So I'm not gonna. But yeah, 1-0 Mane. Done. I'm gonna get 10 points for that if I get it right. I mean, that's all we have time for today, but we'll be back next week when I've got that prediction right. Hopefully, so where can the listeners find you off the podcast, lads? We'll start with you, Ty.
Tyron_PT is the main account I use, so follow that one, because my other one's struggling at the moment. I need Indigo to give me a shout out.
Inverter, go ahead.
Add some versatility. Be creating an account soon. Be a new account.
Yeah, he doesn't need a new account. He's got enough followers as it is. So be sure to give them a follow. Once again, follow @AnfordEdition for updates on when the podcast is released. Pleasure talking to you, lads, as always. So say goodbye, Ty.
Cheers, guys.
Say goodbye, Inverter.
Later, lads.
And it's bye from me. Lovren's incredible.